Marquee matchup at quarterback. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen meeting Sunday evening in snowy Buffalo and likely to finish 1 and 2 in MVP voting. Allen ranking first in QBR this season. Lamar a close second. Also both able to put up 40 combined passing and rushing touchdowns while limiting turnovers. Ravens at Bills will be the first playoff game in history to feature two players with 40 combined passing and rushing touchdowns as well as fewer than 10 turnovers. But the Ravens' top receiver, Zay Flowers, did not practice again today, missed all practices this week, although he did appear to have just finished a workout when reporters arrived to practice today. John Harbaugh was asked about his availability for Sunday and said, "I think he has a chance." Right now, though, Zay Flowers listed as doubtful. Great to be with you all. We have Dan the Man here, Orlovsky, Mina Kimes, RC, just before he jets off to Kansas City for the game tomorrow. So let's get started, guys. Dan, the Ravens had their first outdoor practice of the week today. What should their game plan be going into this one in Buffalo?
Yeah, all those different zone reads. And I think the challenge for Buffalo is how they're going to handle all those different zone reads when Lamar has that ball there and trying to pay attention to it. Go back to last week when they used Lamar as a decoy. Remember, Patrick Ricard likely kind of in those unique spots, the wildcat formation with Derrick Henry. Lamar goes in motion. Everybody obviously paying attention to him. And now Derrick Henry has the opportunity to get downhill. What is going to be the wrinkle off of this that Todd Monken, their offensive coordinator, can take advantage of? Everybody's going to be paying attention to Lamar Jackson, rightfully so. How can they utilize that for another big game? I'll be interested to see how Buffalo handles that traditional zone read, the triple option where they can take their backs and get in motion. And if you're going to play man coverage without Zay Flowers, everybody's got to be really greased because Lamar can hand the ball off if he loves it, and he could be the keeper if he loves it, or he could throw the bubble. That's that modern day triple option. If you aren't completely committed to what you're doing, you give up free yards to this offense. That was one of the problems with the Steelers last week. That's a very simple play for Baltimore to operate, but it's a struggle for the defense. How many different ways can they get into those three-man surfaces and force that defensive end to collapse or stay wide? And sometimes Derrick Henry just has open lanes because of Lamar. I think the Bills have to try to either 100% force Lamar to hand the football off and Derrick Henry be the ball carrier, or give Lamar constant different looks, almost like basketball does to a premier player. But Baltimore continue to lean on that zone read and force Buffalo to figure it out.
You know, when we have a game like this where we really dissect it inside and out, by the time you get to Friday, you're sort of looking where can they get those hidden yardage or hidden chunk plays from. And we all know that Baltimore is going to rely heavily on Derrick Henry. But Justice Hill can be a huge part of this game as well. If you go back to the last game against the Buffalo Bills, especially in the screen game, he had 6 catches for 78 yards. And it wasn't about what he was able to do in the run game, but sort of that change of pace back that allowed him to work on those linebackers into intermediate and second level. If we have bad weather, if there is no Zay Flowers, using Justice Hill as another piece of that skill set or those skill positions to give Lamar an extra option could be huge when he subs in for Derrick Henry.
I love that point about Justice Hill, who's even separate from this matchup, quietly been such an impactful part of the Ravens offense as a pass catcher with his blocking. But when you go back to the last matchup, as Ryan talked about, what struck me was in the first half, before the game got out of hand, the Ravens leaned even more heavily than usual on their two-back sets. Sometimes it was Henry, sometimes it was Hill, along with Patrick Ricard. And then they threw out of those looks at a rate far more than they normally do. I think they're going to do the same in this one. Not having Zay Flowers, if they don't have him, would hurt, no doubt. But there's a reason why he wasn't heavily targeted the last time these teams played. The Ravens are acutely aware that outside the numbers, the Bills are strong with Christian Benford at cornerback. It's between the numbers and particularly going after those linebackers where they had success. Now, of course, the starting linebackers, are back in this game, which is going to make it a little bit harder, but I don't think there's going to be any change in game plan just because those players are back in the lineup, Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard.
Yeah, and in that game you referred to, the Ravens outgained the Bills by 109 491 yards, Buffalo's worst yardage differential since 2020. We'll see if that'll change. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs looking to make history, as you know, with a three-peat, perhaps catching a break, not having to face both the Ravens and the Bills. They host the Texans on Saturday afternoon, and that is where we find the very well-traveled, the peripatetic Laura Rutledge on the call tomorrow. Laura, what can you tell us about the Chiefs' approach after getting that bye week?
Yeah, certainly rest helps this team for a variety of reasons, and we'll get into that. But first and foremost, that left tackle spot, which a team that doesn't have many holes, but the three-peat is certainly their goal. They have been trying to figure that out throughout the season. So Joe Thuney, DJ Humphries rotated at that spot throughout the week at practice. And a reminder that Thuney played left tackle in college. He's also played well there when they've needed him to do it this season. So something to keep an eye on. But the main headline for the Chiefs is that they're feeling really good right now and feeling healthy. Patrick Mahomes says that ankle feels good 100%. He's a lot better now running to his left, and he's really had 4 weeks to get healthier. He feels good. They're also looking at Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt being in good spots to come back and play really well as Hollywood Brown. So things going well from that standpoint. But it's worth remembering that the week off at times can leave things a little rusty. So Andy Reid has a good plan there. On Friday, they put pads on and went ones versus ones. Patrick Mahomes said it was even a little chippy going against each other the way that they wanted to because they're so competitive. He wanted to do that to make sure they're as good to go as possible. And then another thing he noted was this Texans defense being so fast and having such good ball skills. He said, we cannot underthrow the football, Hannah.
Yeah, Laura, no back-to-back champ has even made it to the Super Bowl the following year, much less win it. Thanks to you. We're going to get back to you in just a sec and talk about the Texans. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes owns the playoffs. He already has 15 wins. That's one shy of tying the great Joe Montana for the second most by a starting quarterback in NFL history. He has 41 passing touchdowns, 3 shy of tying Brett Favre for the fourth most. He has never lost in the divisional round, going 6-0. If he wins again tomorrow, 1 shy then of tying Tom Brady for the most consecutive conference championship appearances since the merger. Wow, that's heady stuff, Mina. And we know that Andy Reid is going to be creative. He's going to use just about everybody in uniform in some way, shape, or form tomorrow. How do you expect them to attack that Texans defense?
Pretty similarly to how they did the last time these teams played. Obviously, they had success. They won the game. 3 things really jumped out. A couple things you got to do to have a better result. You got to be really physical in coverage. You cannot let them get free releases, but you also can't get picked, which is something that they're very good at against man coverage. And then they have to find a way to get pressure on the inside. If Joe Thuney gets chip help, kind of alluded to that, can you get Autry or Edwards or using games, overloads, some of the things we saw them do against the Chargers to get rushers on the inside, to get one-on-ones? I think that's going to be key in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Mina, you hit the nail right on the head. And I thought Xavier Worthy really found his place in this game with Hollywood Brown returning. You know, we thought Xavier Worthy would be the guy they wanted to push the football down the field to, but they really utilized him as sort of didn't communicate well. They didn't pass things off. They weren't playing levels or banjo. So where they had someone to be able to leverage wherever the motion ended up, I think they need to make a little change there. And then on the other side of it, can you bring some interior pressure instead of on the outside so Patrick Mahomes can't step up and out into the pocket?
Thuney going to left tackle tells me they're prioritizing protection in this game. You know, when he plays guard, the internal 3 that they have with Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith is arguably the best in the NFL. And that gives them the opportunity to be a very good run football team. Azeez Al-Shire back for Houston at the linebacker spot. His impact was massive last week in the run defense. So it tells me that maybe they think Caliendo is going to be okay to handle him. Thuney goes to play left tackle because they're going to have to figure out ways to block Danielle Hunter and block Will Anderson. And to your point, MK, the ball's going to have to come out quick. I think the yards after the catch are a huge part in that game. Also, RC, I would be floored if Houston played more than 10 snaps all game in zone coverage. I think this is one of those games, man coverage, our guys are better than your guys. And honestly, if I was Stingley, I would, if I was Patrick, I would not throw at Stingley. I wouldn't throw it and get him all game.
And so the thing that I believe, Dan, is the one guy that's pretty stationary is DeAndre Hopkins. And I would feel like that you can win on him with Derek Stingley. And so to me, I would eliminate that entire sort of competition or battle out of my play calling if I'm DeMeco Ryans. And then now you can work on the interior, whether it's Murray or Miles, and also using some of those safeties to play to the strong side of those trips, bunches, and stacks.
I mean, Stingley, an absolute star, obviously coming off a huge game, super confident. It's going to be a fun matchup. And we're just getting started.
Các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình. Video ngày hôm nay mình lại làm những cái video tô mổ để gửi tặng tất cả các bạn đây. Đây là những đồ vật, con vật của mình chuẩn bị tô mổ để gửi tặng tất cả các bạn. Đấy. Những sản phẩm của mình rất chi là nhiều, đây. Và không thể thiếu được hộp xăm mổ của mình này các bạn ơi. Hộp xăm mổ giúp mình tạo ra những sản phẩm tuyệt đẹp. Và bây giờ các bạn cùng theo dõi mình tô mổ nha.
Trực tiếp tô mổ đúng không? Tiếp vào mình. Cuma sama rồi.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình. Video ngày hôm nay mình lại làm những video tô mỏ để gửi tặng tất cả các bạn đây. Đây là những đồ vật, con vật của mình chuẩn bị tô mỏ để gửi tặng tất cả các bạn. Đấy. Những sản phẩm của mình rất chi là nhiều, đây. Và không thể thiếu được hộp xăm màu của mình này các bạn ơi. Hộp xăm màu giúp mình tạo ra những sản phẩm tuyệt đẹp. Và bây giờ các bạn cùng theo dõi mình tô mỏ nha.
Thì chi tiết tô mỏ nhé các bạn.
Hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là chấm giòn. Các bạn hôm nay tự của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là Zota. Mình sẽ bắt đầu làm nha. Cao một tí nhé. Mình ăn cho một cam nha.